Hello everyone, welcome to Advanced Knowledge Systems and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy. It offers examination coaching for UPSC CSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level and CLAT examinations. And about me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala and I take up the analysis of the Hindu newspaper of today's, that is of 22nd May 2021. And throughout my session, I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the Hindu newspaper, by which we will identify the factual, analytical, and conceptual questions which will be critical for UPSC prelims perspective. And while you get into the mode of imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in your mains answer writing, your answers for the mains examinations would be precise and concise, and therefore you will score higher marks in the mains examination. So this session at AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis will certainly help you to crack both prelims and mains of 2021. But before we get into the DNA of the newspaper, we would be focusing at the quote of the day, and the quote of the day says that the key to success is to focus on goals but not on obstacles. So what is very important is you need to have in your mind only about the goals but not about the hurdles. So forget about the hurdles and then focus on the goals. So definitely you will definitely have success. And now we'll get into the DNA of the newspaper. And here what we'll be focusing is in regards to the corporate debt and personal guarantors. So we would be focusing at the two keywords, that is the personal guarantors and the corporate debt. And in regards to this, both, that is corporate debt and personal guarantees, Supreme Court has supported, or it has agreed to the government's move. So the central government has come up with the notification, that is the government notification on November 15, 2019. And the move was to initiate an insolvency proceedings against the personal guarantors. So please do understand here what is important, that the Supreme Court has supported the government move to allow the lenders to initiate insolvency proceedings against the personal guarantors. But what is crucial that we need to understand is also that the Government of India has come up with a notification on November 15, 2019. Please do understand, it was in the year 2019, November 15th. The Government of India has come up with a notification, and in that notification, it was very clear that the government can go ahead with initiating an insolvency proceedings against the guarantors. That means the one who would be a guarantor for the corporates. So definitely if the corporates are unable to pay and it is a corporate debt, so in that case the government can go ahead with taking an insolvency proceeding. So another keyword is to initiate a insolvency proceedings. So here, who would go ahead with initiating an insolvency proceedings? It is the lenders, the one who is lending. That is, on behalf of the government's notification, the lenders would go ahead with initiating the insolvency proceedings against the personal guarantors who have gone ahead with giving guarantee to a big business houses or corporate. So this is the one which was actually, that is the notification of the government of November 15, 2019 was challenged before several courts in India initially, and when it has reached the Supreme Court, that is when the Supreme Court has transferred the petitions from the various high courts on the request of the government, that is in regards to the government notification of November 15, 2019, that the government has given an authorization for the lenders to initiate insolvency proceedings against the personal guarantors if at all the corporates are unable to make the payments. That means if the corporate is debt, then the lender can initiate the insolvency proceeding against the personal guarantor. And in the Supreme Court verdict on May 21st, 2021, it has supported the government's notification which it has given it in the year 2019. So here the point what we need to understand is the government notification of 2019 and the Supreme Court's verdict on 2021, that is May 21st, 2021. And in a judgment, L. Nageshwar Rao and S. Ravindra Bhatt have held or supported the government's notification that they can go ahead with, that is, the lenders can go ahead with initiating the insolvency proceedings against the personal guarantors. And here, how can the lender go ahead with initiating an insolvency proceedings against the personal lender is under the bankruptcy insolvency code. So under the IBC, the lender can initiate the insolvency proceedings, and the judgment, that is the Supreme Court, has said that the initiation of the insolvency code by the lender against the personal guarantor is legal and it is valid. So it is very clear that the Supreme Court has supported the government's notification that it is legal and valid. And it also said that there is certainly an intrinsic connection. So we will look at what the court has spoken about the intrinsic connection between whom. So intrinsic connection between whom we would look at. So the court has said that there is certainly an intrinsic connection between the personal guarantor and the corporate debtor. That means there is a link and there is a kind of intimacy between the personal guarantor and the corporate debts. So that the judgment of the Supreme Court has made it very clear that the insolvency proceedings can be taken up or can be initiated by the lenders against the personal guarantor under the IBC, that is Indian Bankruptcy and Insolvency Code, which is legal and valid because there is an intrinsic connection between the personal guarantor and the corporate debts. And it has also said that because of this intimacy or intrinsic connection, the government has decided that the corporate debtors and the personal guarantors should be dealt by a common forum. So here the keyword what you need to understand for a better conceptual understanding of the entire news is that about the insolvency and the bankruptcy code, or in regards to the government's notification of 2019, that there is an intrinsic connection between the personal guarantor and the corporate debtors, so that the government has decided that both of them should be dealt by a common forum that is called as NCLT. So the common forum which the government has decided that the corporate debtors and the personal guarantor should be dealt in case if there is a case that the corporates are in the debt, then it should be dealt by the National Company Law Tribunal. So this is the keyword which you need to focus, that the government has decided in case of initiating the insolvency proceedings, it should be done or it should be dealt by a common forum called as National Company Law Tribunal, NCLT. And in fact, the insolvency proceedings can be taken up under section 62 of the code, and required that the bankruptcy proceedings can be taken up, that there should be a common forum, that is NCLT. So definitely under section 60 of subclause 2 of the insolvency or Indian Bankruptcy Insolvency Code, there is clear that the proceedings or the bankruptcy proceedings of the corporate debtors and their personal guarantees can be held by a common forum, that is NCLT, as per section 60 of 2. So this could be a probable prelims question, that which among the following statements are incorrect in regards to the section 60 of subclause 2 of the Indian Bankruptcy and Insolvency Code. So here it says very clearly that the bankruptcy proceedings can be taken up in regards to the corporate debtors and the personal guarantors before a common forum, and that common forum is what? It is National Company Law Tribunal. So definitely this you can focus from insolvency and bankruptcy code from economy perspective and also the polity perspective, which the Supreme Court has upheld the government's notification of November 15th, 2019, which was earlier challenged at several high courts in India, and in turn the Supreme Court has transferred the petitions from various high courts to itself, and then it has given a verdict on on May 21st, 2021, upholding or supporting the government's notification of November 15, 2019 to allow the lenders to initiate the insolvency proceedings against the personal guarantors. So this is certainly a very good information which you can take it from prelims as well as mains perspective. And there is another news which is in regards to the decommissioning. So definitely here when we are talking about the decommissioning, it is that the INS Rajput, which is of USSR era, has now been decided, that is erstwhile USSR, which was built by erstwhile USSR, that is INS Rajput, now has been decided that it would be decommissioned, or it was decommissioned on May 21st, 2021, and it was decommissioned at Naval Dockyard at Visakhapatnam after 41 years of service. So INS Rajput has been in service for 41 years, which was built by erstwhile USSR, and it was decommissioned on May 21st, 2021 at Naval Dockyard in Visakhapatnam. And this ship was decommissioned when the national flag, national ensign, and the decommissioning pennant were lowered at the sunset. That means after this, the lowering of the national flag, national or naval ensign, and decommissioning pennant was lowered at the sunset. This was a procedure taken up, and it was, that is the INS Rajput was decommissioned. And if we look at this service of 41 years, definitely it has been a role, or it was been participated in several important operations over 41 years, that is INS Rajput. And it has also participated in one of the main operations, that is called as Operation Aman of Sri Lanka. And here, when it was part of the Operation Aman, it was to assist the IPKF, that is Indian Peacekeeping Force, against the LTTE, which the Sri Lankan government was fighting against the LTTE or the LTTE war. So definitely INS Rajput is the one which was part of the Operation Aman, and it has assisted the Indian Peacekeeping Force. And we will also look at the naval ensign. So this is the naval ensign. So you have the cross, you have the emblem, and the national flag. And you can see that at the sunset, the INS Rajput, the national flag and the naval ensign has been lowered at the sunset, and it has been folded or furled. And then the INS Rajput has been commissioned, which was in service for 41 years, and it was built by erstwhile USSR. So this is part of the current affairs in regards to the destroyer INS Rajput. And there is another news which is in regards to the External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, has spoken about how the pandemic has thought, or it has made the various or several countries to be as a self-seeking. So here the keyword is self-seeking. So External Affairs Minister has spoken about many countries across the world have become more self-seeking at the time of pandemic, or else the pandemic has made the countries across the world more self-seeking. Comment. So this could be also a mains question, because what the pandemic is making a changes in regards to various countries. So we will discuss that. And External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar was talking, or he was in a meeting, and he has given a speech at the Future of Asia, which was organized by Nikkei, the stock exchange in Japan. And in that, while he was talking, he has hinted that countries across the world have failed to live its commitments during the COVID-19. So this is the very serious and then a loud voice which has been put forth by India, by our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, in the Future of Asia event organized by Nikkei, that he said that the countries have failed to live by commitments during COVID-19. So we will look at what are the genuine commitments which the countries have to follow, but they have failed to live by the commitments during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the pandemic has made the countries across the world that they have failed to live the commitments and they have become more self-seeking. And he has said that the pandemic has prompted various countries across the globe to become self-seeking, often restoring to broader definitions. So they have become self-seeking, this keyword, self-seeking. Why they have become more self-seeking? Because of national security. Many of the countries have been coming up with the definition of national security, and because of usage of the national security by various countries, it has disrupted the supply chain system across the globe. So you have the three keywords here, that how the countries during the COVID-19 or COVID-19 pandemic situation have become more self-seeking. Why the countries have been becoming more self-seeking? Because the countries are resorting to a broader definition of national security, and because of restoring or resorting to the national security, the keyword, it is disturbing the supply chains, and thereby it is a cause of concern, and the countries have failed to live by its commitments during the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And Mr. Jaishankar has also said that, or he has distinguished between the pandemic era response from nation states, and he has distinguished with the pandemic era response with the usual globalization driven concerns. So here again there are two key phrases which was emphasized by our External Affairs Minister Jaishankar at the Future of Asia event, saying that, or he has made it very clear that there is a distinguish between the countries kind of actions being taken up. That is, they are resorting to the national security. They are resorting to the national security wherein that is disrupting the supply chain. And he has distinguished between pandemic era and globalization driven concerns. And he has also made it very clear that in the past, when we have focused in regards to the defense, politics and intelligence, so these three, they have been calculated with some justification, taking into consideration of resources, taking into consideration of energy and technology. This, please do understand, it was in the past which the Jaishankar has said that now the pandemic era response, comparing it with the globalization driven concern. In the past, defense or politics or intelligence, they have been calculated with some justification into the resources, energy and technology. And if you look at the one, when we are talking of the globalization driven concerns, they were with some notable exceptions, which the demands made by the extrapolation or the justification or the opinions were balanced out by the requirement of global exchanges, economic efficiency and the social habits. And because of the global exchanges, economic efficiency and social habits, the trends, now what we are looking at the pandemic era response, have become stronger as the globalization mantra has taken deeper root. So definitely globalization is still the one which is to be followed, and it is a need of the hour. And when only then we can make sure that there is a global exchanges, economic efficiency and social habits can be taken up, so that there will not be any kind of distinguishment between the pandemic era and the globalization driven concern. Because definitely when there is a emphasis made by the various countries onto the national security, this is disturbing the supply chain system. So therefore globalization mantra is definitely required, or globalization driven concerns are the need of the hour. And he has also said that the pandemic, when we look at, so we are focused in regards to the globalization mantra, or what is that it has taken deeper root and it is responsible for global exchanges, economic efficiency, and the social habits. But if you look at the pandemic era response, now if you look at the pandemic, however, during the pandemic situation last 1 year or so, we have seen that the capabilities have been leveraged, commitments have been dishonored, supply chains have been blocked, logistics have been disrupted, shortages have been created. Why? Because of pandemic. Because of pandemic, various countries have failed to live its commitments during COVID-19 pandemic situation. And during COVID-19 pandemic situation, many countries have become self-seeking because it has brought up the new definition or the broader definition of national security, which has seen the capabilities leveraged, commitments dishonored, supply chains blocked, logistics disrupted, shortages created, and with all the accompanying anxieties, this pandemic has made the countries self-seeking. So self-seeking is the one which is the keyword which we need to focus, that how the pandemic has brought in various countries to become more self-seeking by coming up with the definition or the broader definition of national security. And we have seen these anxieties have created lot of disturbances. And the speech of Mr. Jaishankar at the Future of Asia is certainly a policy oriented speech. Please do understand this keyword. It is certainly a policy oriented speech, and when the speech is being interpreted, it is definitely, experts are saying that there is an admission by the minister that there are problems that India is facing, and it is continuing with a project called as Vaccine Maitri project. And under the Vaccine Maitri project, which India has promised to deliver vaccines to the South Asian countries and to the countries across the world. But we have seen that as there is a surge of second wave COVID-19 cases in India, there is shortage of vaccines in India, and India is unable to go ahead with continuing with its project called as Vaccine Maitri project. So this is crucial, and definitely when India has promised to deliver vaccines, now the countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, and also countries from Africa and Ukraine also are definitely pushing for India for what it has promised to deliver vaccine to those countries as a project of Vaccine Maitri project. So this is crucial for prelims perspective and mains, that how India has gone ahead with taking up the project, that is Vaccine Maitri project. And definitely the policy oriented speech at the Future of Asia by our External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has given a kind of sense that there is a problem in India, and definitely we are facing to promise, or we are facing to deliver the promise of the vaccines to various countries across the world under the Vaccine Maitri project. So this again we can focus from in regards to the prelims perspective, that is the vaccine project or Vaccine Maitri project, and the Future of Asia. Future of Asia, what our External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has gone ahead with giving an policy oriented speech. And now we will focus at the another news, which is that we have seen that there was definitely a warlike situation, or certainly a warlike situation between Israel and Hamas, and that has led to hundreds of lives. And definitely there was a certain opportunity which both Israel and Hamas should have come to a restraint and then followed a truce or temporary stoppage. And definitely after 11 days, both that is Israel and Hamas have come ahead with a ceasefire agreement, or temporary agreement. And when the temporary agreement to go ahead with ceasefire, that is stop the firing between Israel and Hamas, it is President Joe Biden has hailed or appreciated the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and Joe Biden has said that this ceasefire is a genuine opportunity towards a larger goal of a lasting peace in West Asia. So we have the two keywords and the key phrases here, that which has been mentioned by the US President Joe Biden in regards to the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas as a genuine opportunity, that it would be, that is, the ceasefire would be a genuine opportunity towards building a lasting peace in West Asia. So here the ceasefire is not just, it is restricted towards Israel and Hamas, but the ceasefire is definitely wanting to push for a peace in the entire West Asian region. So that is how the US President Joe Biden is looking at, and he has hailed the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. So entire West Asia is also crucial, that there would be an impact certainly by the bombardment of the rockets both from Israel and Hamas. And Joe Biden has credited the Egyptian government for playing a crucial role in brokering a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. So definitely we have the Egyptian government which has played a crucial role in the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, and it has been appreciated and credited by the US President Joe Biden. And he also said that Palestinians and Israelis should equally deserve to live safely and securely, and definitely they should enjoy equal measures of freedom, prosperity and democracy. So look at the way Joe Biden has put forth this ceasefire as a lasting peace and a genuine opportunity in the West Asia, and he has credited the Egyptian government, and he has made it very clear that both the Palestinians and Israelis have equally deserved to live safely and securely in Palestinian and Israel. So definitely he is supporting both the Israelis and the Palestinians, and he says that both should enjoy equal measures of freedom, prosperity and democracy. Look at the keywords which he has used. He has used freedom, he has used prosperity, he has used democracy. So definitely we need to focus. You all as a civil servant aspirants have to focus that what is the importance of freedom, prosperity and democracy, which both the Israelis and the Palestinians are wanting, or they say that we are unable to breathe since 1948. It is the Arabs or the Palestinians who are saying that we are unable to breathe since 1948 in their land. So definitely the concerns of the Palestinians or the Arabs and the concerns of Israelis or Jews has to be taken into consideration. And he is also focusing that equal measures of freedom, prosperity and democracy. So for this, to know or to have a better understanding, if there is a question in the mains examination as part of the international relations, that is the kind of this fire or the rockets being launched between Israel and Hamas, is the one which we need to focus, and why it has started and all this. So if you look at, we would be focusing from 1947 to present. So definitely, just in brief, if you look at the green color before 1947 or in 1947, the entire area of this was the Arabs, that is Palestinian or Palestine, and the white patches were Jewish settlements, Jewish settlement. That is, when the Jews were, there was a genocide in Europe or Germany, then they started moving across and they have got into Palestine and they have settled in Palestine, 1947. And when there was a large chunk of the settlements being happening during 1947 to 1948, so there was a partition plan which was taken up in 1947, and then we can see now the white patches are the land which are of Israel and the green are of Palestine's, and the Jerusalem was under the UN administration. So look at the way the Joe Biden is talking about freedom, prosperity and democracy. And the partition plan 1947, we can see the green is been reduced to only a pocket here, one to West Bank and then Gaza. So later on, again from 1949 to 1967, we have seen a 6-day war from Israel versus the Arab countries, and then Israel was very fiercely, it has taken up the battle, and then it has almost restricted Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, and also even Iran. So in that or after that, we could see the Palestinian was just restricted to West Bank and then Gaza Strip. Fine. And now present, we can see this is just again, even in the West Bank, there is lot of the Jewish which have been now part of the Palestinian line, and this is the one only now we see the Palestinian line, that is Gaza Strip and then the West Bank. So definitely there is, now the kind of 11-day war-like situation between Israel and Hamas has taken place because of the Jerusalem, which both are claiming that they would wish to have part of their country or their territory. And if you look at the 1947 to present, so definitely Palestinians have lost their land, and that is what many of the Palestinians or Arabs, they say that they are unable to breathe in their own land since 1948. That is after the partition plan 1947. We have seen before 1947 and after 1947, the Palestinians were restricted to a particular piece of land. So this is what in toto or in brief in regards to the Jewish settlements after the genocide in Germany or Europe, and then they started settling in Palestine, and today's Palestine is different. And there is another news in regards to the RBI. So RBI has paid 99,122 crore of surplus to center. So it is the RBI which has paid the surplus to center, which is of 99,122 crore. So this is the surplus transfer. It is called a surplus transfer or the dividend, which the RBI has got. The dividend has now been transferred to the government on May 21st, 2021, which is of 99,122 crore. And this is for a period of, that is the dividend or the surplus transfer is for a period of 9 months from July 2020 to March 2021. So please do understand here the concept or the better understanding why we are focusing on the dividend or the surplus transfer, which was been transferred by the RBI to the center, which was for, the amount which was the dividend was only for 9 months. Please do understand here, because this was a dividend being collected or dividend which the RBI has had from July month of 2020 to March of 2021. And even though the RBI has transferred or it has approved that it would transfer the dividend to the government or the center, even this amount is not enough to have a kind of cushion to the damage being done by the second wave, that is by the SARS-CoV-2 virus in the second wave in 2021. So we will definitely look at the kind of dividend or surplus transfer being made by the RBI to the government of India, that is to the center, that we have seen now in the year 2021, 99,122 crore, which was only the dividend for 9 months, wherein the 9 months are from July 2020 to March 2021. Now we will focus about why we are emphasizing, or why I am emphasizing on this 9-month period, the collection dividend, because now there is an year called as accounting year, the term called as accounting year, and now the RBI would wish to move the accounting year from April to March. So when we are talking about April to March, it would be 12 months. Please do understand the concept here, 12 months, wherein earlier it was from July to June, but the 9 months what we have seen, even here we will have 12 months, but the collections taken up or the dividend by the RBI from July 2020, because earlier accounting year was from July to June. So when they have collected the amount from July to, it is from March, so it is of only 9 months. So therefore now they have changed, that is the RBI has changed the, or they have definitely will move the accounting year for 2021-2022 would be April to March, which earlier it was July to June. But the dividend which the 99,122 crore collected by the RBI and then transferred to the center was only for the month of 9 months. But now it wanted to make sure that it will be from March to April or April to March, the financial year. But earlier it was July to June. It wanted to shift this to the financial year April to March. This is the main conceptual understanding in regards to the RBI taking a move in regards to the shifting the accounting year from July to June to April to March. And if you look at the dividend or surplus which the RBI has transferred to the center, that is in the year, we have seen for the year 2021 it is 99,122 crore, and for 2020 the RBI has transferred was 57,128. That means there was a decline of the dividend in the year 2020, but there is certainly an increase in the year 2021 with 99,122 crore rupees. So it is increased from 57 to 99, almost close to 43,000. But if you focus the year 2019, the dividend or surplus was 1.76 lakh, which is more or which is higher than the 2021 dividend which the RBI has transferred to the center. So in 2019 it was 1.76 lakh crore which the RBI has transferred to the government, which has included one-time transfer of extra reserves. So this 1 lakh or 1.76 dividend includes dividend plus one-time transfer of extra services. So even this amount was part of the dividend or the surplus which the RBI has transferred to the government in the year 2019. So you need to certainly know the difference, because which among the following statements are incorrect? So the one which is correct of the dividend or the surplus being transferred by the RBI to the central government in the year 2019 is 1.76 lakh, which includes the one-time transfer of extra reserves also. So this is a better conceptual understanding in regards to the accounting year and the dividend or surplus as part of the economy. So the keyword what we need to focus from this news is dividend or surplus transfer and accounting year. For the dividend or surplus transfer which the RBI has shifted from July to June to April to March, this is also a crucial information from prelims perspective. And now we'll focus at the what are the challenges the government is facing. So definitely with the RBI going ahead with transferring the dividend to the center, but still the amount is not sufficient and it cannot cushion the damage which has been done by the COVID-19 pandemic situation to the economy. And the government, what are the challenges is the first one, the government is likely to find its challenges to meet the privatization and disinvestment target of 24 billion. So definitely because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, the challenges faced by the government is that it is to meet the privatization and disinvestment target of 24 billion is the first challenge. And the second one is the GST revenue is likely to fall because of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And the third one is the government is under pressure that it cannot go ahead with cutting the expenditure. So definitely the another challenge is to meet the privatization disinvestment, it has to cut the expenditure. But because at the first wave and the second wave, during the first wave and the second wave, the government is under pressure that it cannot go ahead with taking an option to cut the expenditure. But in turn, it wants, the entire government is now standing responsible so that it needs to spend more to spur investments and it has to perk up growth, which the country has experienced the low levels which it has hit because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation in the year 2020. So rather than cutting the expenditure, it is now the need of the hour to spend by the government. Rather than cutting expenditure, the government has to spend. That is the need of the hour to spur the investments and to perk up or to increase the growth, which both the investment and the growth have been a record low since 2020. That is in the year 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the country or the economy, Indian economy. So we have looked at the dividend surplus transfer accounting year and the challenges. So definitely the challenges are in regards to the privatization and disinvestment target of 24 billion, GST revenue likely to fall because of the second wave of the COVID-19 in the year 2021, and there is no option to cut the expenditure by the government during this second wave of COVID-19. But in turn, the need of the hour is to spend more to spur or to increase the investment and to increase the growth. So these are the challenges which the government is facing. So these challenges can be certainly taken as a short notes for your mains, how the government is facing the challenges to spur the investment and perk up growth in the second wave or during the COVID-19 pandemic situation since 2020 or from 2020 and also which is being continuing in the year 2021. And I hope this session was informative, knowledgeable, and also very critical for UPSC mains and prelims perspective. So I would say a very big thank you to all. Good luck to you all. Do maintain consistency, stick to your schedule, and take care of your physical health and mental health. And do not forget to like the video, share the video, and then subscribe the AKS IAS Academy English Medium YouTube channel. And do not forget also to have access to the website and the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy. And then see you again tomorrow with the daily news analysis at Advanced Knowledge System. Till then, thank you, goodbye, and then take care.